You know the vibes. Welcome back to another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast, brought to you by NBA 2K24. You can get your copy from the link in the description. Myself, Mamutsi, alongside me as always, the three-time NBA champion, BJ Armstrong. BJ, how you doing, my brother?
Oh man, it's a beautiful day. Real name, no gimmicks. Talking to Mo about a little basketball. So I can't think of a better place to be.
It's a beautiful day. It's my birthday today, so what I wanted to do
Oh,
is
wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on. Time out. I want to, be one of the first. I'm sure I wasn't the first, if
Hey,
you know what
man.
I mean. If you know what I mean.
You keep this
To
family
wish
friendly
you,
here.
yeah, to wish you a happy birthday.
My brother, thank you. Thank you, bro.
And on behalf of our listeners, our audience, everyone, please wish Mo a happy
Oh, that's
birthday. I
love, man.
mean,
I
he's
appreciate you.
absolutely.
Another year older, not much wiser, still not a millionaire. So we keep grinding. So what I wanted to do, I looked at it, and what's crazy is my birthday is the ninth day of the 11th month, but
Mm-hmm.
your birthday is
The
the
ninth
ninth
day
day of the ninth
of
month,
the
right?
ninth
So,
month.
so I
Yes.
thought, okay, cool. Who are the best NBA players that we share a birthday with? And could you make a starting five from the players born on your birthday? And then I looked it up, and there's only ever been 7 players born on the same day as me to play in the NBA, regardless of year.
And they are.
And John Battle, who was born in 1962.
I played against John Battle.
Okay.
Played against
Anthony
John Battle.
Bowie.
Anthony Bowie.
Bowie, is that how you say it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Anthony Bowie played against him. When was he born?
1963.
Yes.
Mel Davis.
Oh, Big Mel.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, Big Mel.
Born
I
in
didn't play against Mel.
1950. He only played 4 years in the NBA. Or
Yeah, didn't play against Mel. Didn't play against Mel, but I knew Mel. Good man.
Marcus Garrett, who played 12 games in the NBA,
Okay.
born in 1998. Mohamed Gueye, Gueye. I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
What's his name? What's his name?
Mohamed Gueye. Gueye. I don't know.
How you spell it? How you spell it?
Gueye. Guai.
Oh,
I
I'm
don't
not
know.
sure.
Apologies. A rookie on the Hawks, born in 2002. That makes me feel super old. Frank Selvey, born in 1932. I doubt you will have played against him.
Yeah, maybe.
And Trendon Watford, born in 2000.
Okay.
So not the most talented squad, but on your birthday, BJ, you actually rank as the number one player born on your birthday.
Oh, really?
Congratulations.
Oh,
Yep.
really?
Yep.
Okay.
Number two
Okay.
is Shane Battier.
Oh, Shane, Detroit.
Yep. Yep.
What up, though? What up, though?
A little bit further than Detroit, Davis Bertans. Oh, no, Darius Bertans. That's Davis Bertans' brother who played 12 games in the NBA.
Okay.
Lance Blanks.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Mhm.
we just lost Lance. We just
Oh, wow.
lost Lance.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, we just lost Lance.
Well, a real throwback, Frank Curran, born in 1922. Played 2 years in the ABA. Walter Davis.
Oh, wow. We just lost the
Rest in
Greyhound.
peace, man.
Yeah, we just recently.
Oh, man, that's crazy. It's a sad coincidence that all these guys listed. Steve Downing, born in 1950. Josh Gray, who played 7 games in the NBA so far, born in 93. Alvin Jones, Warren Kidd. Dan Majerle.
Oh, Dan Marley.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah, from Michigan. Yeah, Dan Marley played with the Phoenix Suns. He played for the Phoenix Suns. Yes.
I've never registered every time I've read his name that it's the same guy that I've seen in old videos. I was just thinking, who the hell is Dan Majerle? I've never seen him before.
Dan
Dan Marley.
Yeah.
Oh, shout out to him. Theron Mays, Luke Mbar-Amute.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I just saw Luke recently in New York. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. A real cool one here, J.R. Smith.
I didn't know that.
Jordan Nwora, who was on the Bucks just last year, and then a bunch of other guys that played a couple games here and there in the NBA.
Wow.
So I think your birthday crushes mine, but I got thinking, and I thought, statistically, when is the best time to be born if you want to make it in the NBA? because I was reading a book called
Hey, Mo.
Outliers. Well, I was reading a book called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, and in hockey, in Canadian hockey, players born in January, February, and March have a disproportionate advantage over the rest of the people born in that same year. And if you look,
the reason being,
because their season goes from January to December, that's their cutoff point, right? So a player born in January can be 11 months older than a player born in December. So he has an 11-month advantage through the school system, meaning he's 11 months stronger, 11 months bigger. So he's more likely to get recruited by colleges, and then more likely to, obviously, by the time you make it to professional, it evens out. But to get to that stage, hockey players born at the start of the year are disproportionately at an advantage over those born later in the year. And if you look at all the data of the best hockey players, they are all born January, February, March, and maybe a few in April. So I figured, theoretically, if that logic applied to the NBA, it should be people born in September, October, November. But clearly, I didn't make it to the NBA. The people born on my birthday clearly aren't that good. So I looked up the stats, and the best time to be born, if you want to be drafted into the NBA, is February and March. Which got me thinking, so the relative age effect is what it's called, and it's clearly present in the NBA to some degree. Over the last 25 years, we can see that the majority of players who make the All-Star team were born in March by a big stretch, and the least were born in September, surprisingly. So players born in February and March have the highest statistical chance to make it to the NBA and get drafted. I don't know why that is, because the cutoff point is September. So you'd think it's September, but then it just made me think, well, maybe because football season ends in February, so kids born around end of February, start of March, when it's around their birthday, is All-Star, and more people are talking about the NBA. So maybe they're just more excited to play basketball as kids than players born in September who want to watch the NFL for their birthday. I don't know, but that's the data.
Okay, well, once you figure that one out, would you please get back?
All I know is if I was to ever have a kid, I'm going to make sure it's born in February or March. So minus 9 months from then, and that's go time. But let's get into today's episode.
Okay.
By the way, any of your kids born in February or March?
Yes.
There we go. Future NBA stars could be on the way from the Armstrong family. But we got some questions from our amazing listeners who have put their questions in the Discord server. Yeah. So you did it by accident. You did it by accident, right? He didn't plan that, but here we are. We got some wonderful listeners who submitted some questions to our Discord server. And the first question from 11CJR says, if you put a prime BJ Armstrong into today's NBA, what would his stat line be?
You know, I seem to get this question a lot lately. You know, it's been like a recent thing, and I've never thought about it until, you know, it keeps reoccurring.
I think about it every night, and I know for a fact my stat line would be DNP, 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 so on and so forth.
Well, I would assume if I were playing today that I would have a different mindset than the one that I knew.
Yeah.
I would assume now that this version of the NBA was much different. I mean, I've never played in this version, but I would assume that it's much different just on the way I look at it. So I think I would have adapted. I would have adjusted, and it would have been a different game. However, the NBA that I knew and the NBA that I'm seeing, I don't think it's possible for me to convert over to the way they play today. Like, I don't see
your entire growing up would have to be adjusted to training for today's NBA.
Yeah. And, you know, and for instance, like the whole concept of training to me seems flawed, right? I'm training, but I'm not playing. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, I watch players train in this generation, but I don't watch players play in this generation. So I have a hard time. I don't know if I would hope if I were to play this generation, that I had no acknowledgement of the previous generation.
Yes.
Because it seems very obvious to me the difference of the game itself. Not that one was better than the other. So, for instance, you and I do this show together. Well, if we're doing something together, then we have to work together. We have to think together. We have to coordinate together. We have to do things and say, okay, what are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? How are we going to make this work? Da, da, da. Today's game doesn't require that. It's just like, okay, I'm here. Well, and I do me. Like
peak,
that.
Peak BJ Armstrong, best season was 15 points a game. There's a season where you shot 45.3% from three. The most threes you ever averaged for a season was 3 a game. Nowadays, players get up 3 threes in the first 3 minutes of the game, right? But I think you could easily give them 20, 25 points a night if you played today. Easily.
Yeah, well, as I said, but it requires a different mind. I can't even imagine. Listen, I played basketball my whole life. Mo, I never just dribbled up to the 3-point line and just shot it. Like, Mo, I'm not saying in my NBA career, not in my college career. Mo, I never just dribbled up to the line with a heat check and say, let me see what I got going tonight.
Okay,
like,
well,
there's things.
Well, I'm going to need you to use your imagination for part 2 of this question, because AG wants me to follow up with, if prime BJ Armstrong was 7 foot tall, what would he average in today's NBA?
Okay, now that's a fun question, because Mo, when I come back, if I have to come back the next time here, I'm coming back. It's like over 7 feet for sure.
So am I.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I want to come back to a place where first of all, I just have excellent coaching, because I'm convinced that 7-footers, you have to have an imagination.
So you want to grow up in Europe then, BJ?
I can't say that.
I mean, the USA aren't producing. I mean, you've got Chet, and that's really it. Which other 7-footers are coming out of the US?
I mean, I'm just saying we've produced some 7-footers who were pretty good. Like, I'm
talking about now. I'm talking about now, though. Because we're talking about if you played today.
Everything goes in cycles. The game has changed. Now, the game has changed. And to the credit in Europe, especially in the region, Serbia, and
the Balkans over there. Shout out to the Balkans.
They have maintained what I consider the proper spacing on the floor by utilizing a big. Right? They just didn't expand them and make them into a stretch 5. The bigs remain bigs for the proper spacing on the floor. Now, so that region maintained it, and by coincidence, they just happened to produce, Jokic and others, Vlade Divac and, Sabonis and those guys have come from that region. Okay. There's a couple other things that you need, right? You need the facilities. You want to have the accessibility to play versus the best player and so forth. So there's a lot of things, and I don't have anything against anywhere in the world. However, you want to play where the best. Well, the best is here. So you may start there, but you got to play here, and you have to play. Hopefully, you'll play, and you'll have excellent coaches that value what you do. So shout out to Coach Malone and the Denver Nuggets, who actually didn't try to force our guy Joker to be a stretch 5. Mm-hmm. Like, think about that. Think about if, and I'm just using him as an example, Mike D'Antoni.
He wouldn't have got minutes.
That's what I'm saying.
He's 7 seconds or less. He ain't getting to halfway line.
So I was just saying, so you have to, a lot of things have to line up for you. However, you want to play against the best. And the NBA is the best league in the world for basketball, without question. So if I was a 7-footer, I would just want to have excellent coaches, because there is a relationship that 7-footers or bigs have with their coaches that, to me, is way different than any other position. Like when you hear bigs talk about their coaches, like when you hear Kareem Abdul-Jabbar talk about John Wooden, you go, that must have been a really special relationship. When you used to hear,
let me ask you this, because that's just sparked a question in my head that I got to ask you.
Yes.
Why are there not many big head coaches?
See, I think there's a flaw in the system.
Because
okay,
right now you've got like
why.
Juwan Howard at Michigan, then you had Patrick Ewing.
Yes, I think
was trying to coach a little
system,
bit.
I think the system is flawed. Why? Okay. Because the way we view the game is flawed. Like when we go to the game, what's the first thing you see people do? Everyone shoots the fadeaway three.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you say you play basketball, everyone they'll do their shake and dribble, and then they'll shoot the 3, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Well, I don't see anyone demonstrating basketball and go, hey, BJ, check out my ability to get the position on the low box.
Look at my drop step.
Yes.
Look at my hook shot.
Look at my ability to block out. Yes. You don't see that. So what you see predominantly, what you market in the game is we have the best players, they stir the imagination. Like when you think of like Dr. J, for instance, when you think of Larry Bird, when you see Magic Johnson, when you see LeBron James, when you see the late Kobe Bryant, those players like, wow, Allen Iverson, you'll see Steph Curry currently right now. Those guys, wow, but you have to be a purist to really appreciate, Jokic, right? You have to be a purist. Mm-hmm. When you watch Giannis, right? I mean, it's like you have to like really have an appreciation that this guy is really a 7-footer doing things like this. When you watch Wembanyama, if you're just a casual fan, you would say, well, he's 7'5". Shouldn't he be good? He's taller than everyone. I mean, that's just, Shaq, you admired Shaq because of his size, but you rooted for Allen Iverson. It's kind of the David and you know what I mean?
David and Goliath.
Like it's David and Goliath. You know what I mean? So I think it's just a natural way. However, and I've said this for years, and I because I believe it, the bigs have been the last, in particular, the 5-man. They're the last position to adapt and adjust to small ball. This is the last position that has adapted, right? The ones
this actually ties into another question that we have, which I think your answer will tie in with. And this question comes from my brother. Please forgive me, I can't pronounce your name. Quake, Cuig. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm so sorry, but let me know in the Discord. But he says, if you had to guess, what do you think will be the next development which will influence how teams play? The obvious one of the past decade being the use of 3-point shooting and how valuable and expensive distance shooters have become. So does this lead into what you're saying about bigs right now? And what's the evolution going to be from here on out?
I think the game is going to go to like, you're going to just need 7-footers everywhere. I think that's where the game is going.
I think Wemby versus KD was a preview of
I
think whole court full of those guys.
I think the game will evolve to like length, size, right? I just think that the only way that the small guy will stay in the game and have an effect on the game is 3-point shooting. So,
but even then, the bigs can shoot threes now as well. So where's the advantage?
That's why I'm saying I think the game will evolve where you'll have Wembanyama, Bobo, you'll just have Evan Mobley, Kevin Durant. You'll just have 10 7-footers out on the court because they have the size and length to affect the aspects that have impact on the game, right? They can defend, they can block shots, and now that they can shoot threes and pass, I just think now length is a major factor. So you have a Steph Curry who's 6'3", or you have a 7-foot Kevin Durant. Well, to me, it's obvious who has a greater impact on the game. It's just simple math. So I think the bigs now will eventually, and the game will go to where, Jokic, Embiid. I mean, you could have Jokic, Embiid, Wembanyama, Kevin Durant on the floor right now.
And Chet
Holmgren, they're all skilled enough to play. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Evan Mobley, all these guys can play on the floor right now.
Yep.
Giannis. So I just think it's inevitable what's going to happen. And sooner or later, we'll just get to a point where, we'll see my ultimate
your dream. And I hope you're the GM for that team that makes it happen.
You know what I want to do, Mo? I'm going to speak this into existence, watching the game. I just want to work with these players to get them ready, because if there's one thing that I see that's missing with today's game is the preparation for this moment. Because of the age, very few are actually ready for this moment because of how quickly they're getting here. It's not like look, you're 19, watching this kid Wembanyama, you're saying, wow, this kid is doing this. However, Mo, in 2 or 3 years, when he physically matures, think about how much better he's going to be than he is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And mentally matures as well.
That's what I'm saying.
He's also, he knows what to do when he's not on the court to get himself ready for the next game.
That to me is, look, we see the physical ability, but imagine right now, Mo, this young man, Wembanyama, we see what he's doing versus Hall of Fame level talent, KD and all of these guys he's playing against now. Imagine, Mo, if he was playing against his age group and he's able to mentally be with people his age. See, that to me is the biggest key. That's the biggest difference. You're 19, you're going to dinner with a 30-year-old guy who has kids and
yeah. Well, luckily the Spurs don't really have many old guys on their team. So,
but
then you don't have the leadership.
As we talked about earlier when we first started, there's a huge difference in young people 10, 11 months, if as far as, growing up. However, I think when you have young people that are hanging out with young people, I think emotionally that allows you to mature at the rate you were maturing at, and you're around people your age and you solve problems with people your age and you do those things. And Mo, the most important thing is, we always talk about this, I think it's important, Mo, for the leadership. You developing your leadership. So when you have a 19-year-old and he comes to a team where there's 25, 26-year-olds, well, you're 25, 26. It's like your little brother is telling you what to do. Like, that's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
When you're 19 and one is 20 and one is 18, you're kind of the best player, the best here. You're trying to figure things out.
I would say, though, that you need to have some older players to show them the ropes of life as an NBA player, to take them under their wing somewhat. And because if you're all figuring it out at the same time.
I would love to. I'm going to give pushback here. Okay. I'm so tired of people saying, let's get an older player to show the younger player. Well, how about this? How about we just get the older player, because we can just admit that the younger player doesn't know.
Yeah.
Like, there's no replacement for experience.
Yeah.
So if it was just as simple as, well, I'm going to get this veteran to show this young guy, well, you're basically saying this young guy doesn't know.
Okay, but it's like, think about all the times you hear players talk about young players, or players talk about when they were young, when they were on the same roster as all-time great players or older players, and they learned by learning from example of getting to practice early. Or, I heard a clip of a podcast, a player talking about the older player on their team took them out and bought them a bunch of suits to wear for the game so that they could act professional, whatever they were saying. But it's learning by example, because if it's just a bunch of kids, you could end up in a situation like the Grizzlies did last year.
Okay.
And we were all talking about Where's the leadership in the Grizzlies locker room?
Okay, but here is okay. Maybe I didn't say this. Here is again just a point of view. If you're getting a veteran to show your young players how to do these things, translation, the guy probably shouldn't be in the league.
Okay, that's what you're saying.
Okay. Now, if you're going to have a veteran, so all of these guys that you're talking about, these veterans, the reason veterans are important is because this is a league where performance is of a premium. That means that you have to have players who are ready and are still capable of contributing to the team. If you have a veteran where his only job is to show you something and you're playing, that's probably not a good thing for that young player. Why? It's because now the young player has a false sense of security. If you get a young player, a la Charles Barkley, and he is still second, third, or fourth best talent on the team because Dr. J and Moses Malone and all of these guys are on the team, and it's still their team. That's probably a good thing for a young Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
You follow me?
So to have the older star players rather than just Udonis Haslem who's just sitting on the bench, and
you have a star player. So some veteran who's just been sitting on the bench and will never play, what's his voice really like? You're not playing anyway. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's the performance quality of the veteran players you have rather than
That's
just
why
someone who's old.
This is why tanking has been one of the worst things that has happened to this league, because you took out what made this league the best league in the world. It's competition. It's if you discredit competition, you take out the fabric of what makes this league great. Like, okay, if this young player is ready to play, so be it. However, what makes it great is the competition internally, the competition for getting minutes, the competition of learning how to lead, the competition of learning, like, just going around the league for the first time. Mo, like, I don't care how good you are. When you go around this league for the very first time, it's a shock. It's a shock to your system.
The Spurs are finding out that right now. No matter how good Wembanyama is, they're losing some games that, they got blown out by the Pacers the other night.
But this is what I'm saying, Mo. Like, there's no preparation for what this young man is about to go through. I don't care what they say. Like, yeah, he's talented, but there needs to be, he's got to go through this. So in the end, if you're going to utilize what this league is and what made it great, is you got to have veteran players who are contributing to the team and they're playing. That, to me, has been the biggest change from this generation to previous generations, because I've never seen so many young players playing, not because they're not talented. They don't know the pro game. Mo, the pro game is only played in the NBA. When you in Europe, you don't practice the NBA game.
No, it's different rules.
It's different rules. You don't play the NBA game nowhere in the world other than in the NBA. Even when you're in college over here, it's a different game. The G League is a different game. So why are these young people with no experience, they come right in and they start playing? Well, it's just kind of a thing now. Well, we got to play. And then I'll get a veteran to teach him how to be on practice on time. Is that veteran playing? No, he's not playing, but he's a good locker room guy. That's culture. I mean, Mo, you still like, yeah. What team has that been on?
If you're Miami Heat, you just write your culture on the floor and hope that they get it through osmosis. I hear what you're saying, though.
Yeah. I mean, the Miami Heat always have veteran guys who can play, that can play. I mean, Pat Riley Pat Riley should be the one that should be answering this question because it's obvious.
Well, let's get him on the show. How about
let's
that?
Get him.
That's my birthday present from you, BJ. We'll get Pat Riley on the show. How about that?
He is one of the true masters of culture. Like everyone says, oh, the culture, and we're gonna. Pat Riley is he's mastered the art. He's mastered that art. By the way, without like lottery picks. That's what's been amazing about it. But we'll get into that later.
Yes, sir. Well, that's today's episode. We'll be back answering more of your questions tomorrow or maybe even some next week. So make sure you subscribe to the Hoop Genius podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts from. We'll be back tomorrow. Then we'll be back on Monday with another episode with our friend Parking Lot Perry, the deep shooter.
Parking Lot Perry.
Yeah, that's going to catch on. I'm making that a thing now, huh? We'll be back with it. Appreciate you guys tuning in. And most importantly, until next time, get buckets.